Okay, in this lesson, we're going to work through a screen flow called the Communications Opt-out Preferences Screen Flow. My concept with this and what I want to teach you with this is how to build a flow that might actually be a real-world scenario you might face. I actually experienced this in a recent role that I had in a different organization where I was asked to build a screen where the sales user, the marketing user can go in and check a box that opts a customer out of communications, different types like email, text, mail, phone calls, etc. Right? You could add so many options to this. The idea was there were different limitations and business logic involved. One of the limitations was the sales user cannot opt them back in due to privacy laws, regulations, concerns from the customers, etc. You want to be able to only check a block or check a box and opt the customer out, but not be able to opt them back in. And so I had to build a kind of complex flow. What I want to do is just walk you through it now. So follow along, pause, whatever you need to do, just keep up and try to study what I'm doing on the screen. I'm going to explain to you what I built. I've already built it, so we'll have the full finished product right in front of you. So what I'm going to do now is show you how it works, and then we will go into the back end and the flow builder, and I'll show you how I built it. So let's get started. Okay, right here, I am on a contact record, Mr. Andy Young. These are just sample contacts. I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to show you right here above my little video box. On the detailed page, you have four options, all unchecked. There is an edit button here, and that normally would be removed. I actually set up, let me show you. I actually set up the page here and the page layout where it's read only for the sales user right here. These little read only box read-only symbols here. So the idea would be the sales user shouldn't even be able to update it right here even. And that's why they have to go to this button. And this is a quick action type of, or maybe not just a quick action, but an action that triggers a flow through a button. So, and I'll show you that as well towards the end. So what we're going to do now is we're going to test it out. So Mr. Young calls in, doesn't want to be called anymore, doesn't want to be texted, something like that. Let's click the button. All right, yes, Mr. Young, I understand. You don't want any phone calls, you don't want any texts, no problem. Can we still email you or mail you? Yeah, sure, no problem. All right, cool. I'm going to update it now with this button. Boom. Ta-da. Boxes are checked. Don't call this guy. All right, cool. Let's see. He calls back again. Hey, I'm tired of these emails. I'm unsubscribed. Why are you still emailing me? Something's wrong with your system. Oh, I'm sorry, sir. Let me go ahead and fix this for you. Also, don't send me any regular mail. I don't even check the mail, right? I don't know. I'm just joking around here, but let's do this. Okay, that worked too. Cool. If you noticed on that screen, you didn't have the two options. You only had these two options. That's something I created in the flow through visibility rules and criteria. Next, accidentally click this button. What's going to happen? I display a message. This contact has opted out of all communications. Please refer to your administrator if the contact has chosen to opt back in. Finish. Ta-da! Flow complete. That's pretty simple. Let's see how complex it can get on the actual flow builder though. Starting from scratch right here. I chose a screen flow. I titled it Screen Update Communications Preferences. I have a lot of versions because I've done a lot of testing, did some different scenarios, built out some different decision trees, and then really opted to go for as simple as I could get. To quickly jump into it, let's look at this. Get contact records. I want to get the record that I'm working with. The record was Mr. Young. He has a record ID. He has, and if you don't know what a record ID is, I could show it to you. Let's go back to the first screen. This right here is the record ID up in the URL link. You could grab this, you could copy and paste it, you can work with it. It's just an identifier to help us know which contact record we're working with. I want to capture that in the screen. So I'm going to get the contact record. I chose the object, right? I just want to get the ID, and I'm going to take the ID, and I'm also going to capture a variable record ID in a text variable form. I'm also only going to get the first record and automatically store all fields. I'm just going to capture everything about this contact because I want to know is the person already opted out, or is it just they're open to every type of communication, or what's going on? This variable right here is a way of storing the ID. I'll show you how I got that. Over here in the manager screen, let's see. Here's my variables, record ID. I just created one. It's just really simple to go and create one that's a text type. How do I do that? Let's just click new resource, variable, and I type in record ID, and then I make it a data type text. You can make it for input or output outside of the flow. We're not going to worry about that right now. And so that's how I got to this record ID. I'm using that as a way of calling back or accessing the data throughout this flow. That's the whole idea with this record ID. I want to be able to use it, maneuver it, update it, whatever I need to do. Another interesting variable that I created was an update record variable. That was a record type contact, and I'm going to use that to do the final update. So I could possibly use that in the get records, but I'm just going to use record ID primarily, and you'll see why in a moment. Let's go to the screen itself. The screen itself, I have all the options. I basically went over here and found some checkboxes and dragged them into it, right, into the screen. I'm going to get rid of that one so it's not stuck there. I have do not call, text, email, mail. What did I set up over here though? I set up component visibility. So here's the situation. If do not call equals false, meaning unchecked, meaning it's not checked, it's not there, then go ahead and show it. So actually show it on the screen. If we found out in the get contact, where did I get this get contact from? Contact from the get contact. Do not call field equals false. Okay, where did I get that from? Back here on the get contact. That's what I'm calling toward. That's what I'm accessing. That's what I'm using. So that's why I'm doing the get record, so I can find out all the information I need to know. If this was already checked, I don't want it to display. I don't want somebody to have this on the screen with a check on it. That's what this is all about right here. It has to be unchecked to even display on the screen. Same for all of these. Okay. This right here doesn't show up at first. That's because it has criteria. I wrote my little message here. And the criteria would be all four of these have to be checked or true in the contact record page. For example, Mr. Andy Young has all four checked. Therefore, when I activate this, this image, this text will display. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm trying to simplify this down to like a logical step-by-step conclusion. All right. Then I even updated this footer here to hide all these buttons and to give it a more accurate title here. I could either update or I could finish. The only time I'm going to think of it as finish would be if there's nothing to update, right? With that text message at the bottom there. Okay, that's cool. That's the screen. That's how I built it. Now it's going to get really complicated, so follow along closely. The update record var and contact ID. The concept is I captured this record ID and I'm going to push it in to this contact ID here. I'm going to assign it or make it equals. If you can see here, I use the operator equals. So I'm taking the record ID. Remember what I said that was? This right here. That's how I know it's Andy Young. That's what this actually is. When you break it all the way down, it's just that It's just this code right here. All right. All these numbers and letters is a unique ID for that person. I want that to match this. And the reason why is later on, I'm going to use that to make an update. Now, I'm going to give a caveat. There's probably some better ways to do this. And I'm willing to bet there's some people that have been working with Salesforce for 20, 30 years, for I don't even know how many years. I'm not even going to say 20 years. I don't think there's a lot of people out there like that watching this video. But I do think there are probably some better ways to go about that. And if you do have those, please give me the advice in the comments. I'm a coach, but I also like to be coached. And I know that this flow works, and that's what matters to me. And it's easy to follow. All right. So that's my disclaimer. Trying to stay humble and let everybody provide good feedback because that's the Ohana community of Salesforce. Okay. So far, we got our records, we got our screen, we got our ID ready to update. We're making sure we're updating Andy Young specifically because we clicked that button. Now, let's make some decisions though. The decisions are going to help us to make sure that we are updating the correct boxes that need to get updated. So, I did this 4 times. Do not call is null or unchecked, basically. So, do not call does not equal true. Now, I could go in and do maybe, previously I had it working as well with like a do not call. We could do, we could go in here, we could, and how do I find this? Contact from get contact, do not call. So I'm actually looking at the actual field, like what does it say right now? I could actually say is null and say true, global constant, true, right? And if you read the description, true, checked, or yes. Okay, so I could do that and maybe have like an or statement, and that could cover all my bases here in case there is a null factor that happens for some reason. But even with just the simplicity of do not call does not equal true, that also does work when I ran all the tests on this flow and when using it with sales users and marketing users without any complications. So you could have this as an option, but for now, let's just keep it simple so you understand how the flow works. Do not call does not equal true. That essentially means is false, right? Essentially means not checked. However, if somebody did check it and it was visible and it got selected, it's going to take a path. It's going to make this path right here and it's going to go to an assignment resource, assignment element, should I say. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the value of the screen component. So that's where I found this in the screen component category. And I'm going to say, take whatever's on the screen in this checkbox, aka it got checked. Take that, make it equal, and make it match. Do not call matches what's checked on the screen in the update record variable. Okay, so that's where that came from. I'm going to do that same thing. Now, let's say it was unchecked or it didn't exist on the screen. It's just going to go move to here. Unchecked or didn't exist on the screen, move to here. Unchecked or didn't exist on the screen, move to here, right? You see the pattern. I'm just going down the decision tree. But each time, if it was checked, it was visible and it got checked, it's going to get assigned. Do not text. Screen component, got checked, equals, do not text in the update record variable. This update record variable is storing the results of what was selected on the screen. All right, then boom, go back to the decision. Assignment, boom, back to the decision. Assignment. This time I don't have another decision to make. I've already gone through all 4 decisions. Now we're going to go to the update. Or let's say we made it all the way down to here, and this one, either way, we're going to try to run the update. previously I had this do not mail null or unchecked. I had that removed and it would just stop at the do not mail. But I decided we needed to be able to, in case like one of them's checked, another one's blank, we need to be able to update all whatever records need to get updated so that way, so both of these decision paths need to land on the update records basically. Otherwise, it'll stop short of that and it'll never run an update if you don't put that second arrow. And if the filter criteria goes into do not mail as null or unchecked, the outcome, if you didn't connect all these dots here to the update records, it'll just stop and nothing will happen. Even if somebody tried to update a previous one like do not email. Okay, now we're on the update records. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use IDs, all field values from a record. Guess what? I've already stored all of these in the update record variable during those assignment elements. Now, update record variable is the one of the options on here. You could title it whatever you want. And you could also get more specific and maybe type in contact if you chose to specify very specific fields. And this might be a good technique as well. You could say do not call equals whatever's in here. Boom. Now, now I'm being very specific about what gets updated, right? So you can dial in and be very precise with this. What I'm doing is the simple quick win right here. Boom. Update whatever it needs to get updated. There's only 4 things that are going to get updated here, aka the 4 checkboxes. And when that happens, that's the result. So hopefully that makes sense. We could deep dive a little more. I'll run a debug and show you what that looks like. Let's see. All right, I saved that record ID from the Andy Young. I'm going to run it back. All right, so right now I'm seeing a little bit of confusion on the screen here. Let me see what's going on here. I checked them all. This is just a simulation of what would happen, right? Let's try it again. Let's run that back again. 1 second. Okay, see now it is responding and it does know that all 4 have already been checked. So nothing really happens, right? So you can see the process here. I'm not going to read all this, but you can see kind of like what happens. So we get the records, we stored the values of these 4 options, okay? We went through the screen, we noticed there are no values to update. We do need to run this one, okay? That's the message that popped up. Can we assign an ID? Yeah, we assign the record ID to the update record variable. Then we went through the decision process. Is there anything on the screen? Null, 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 null. Does not equal true, right? That means it didn't even exist on the screen. So hopefully that makes sense. And then at the end of it all, it tries to update. There's nothing really to update. So you're good. Maybe one thing that it did update was the ID right here. So you could get more specific and just update the fields only, or tell it not to update at all. You could even change the flow to just stop. If there's nothing to update, don't update it. You could build another decision tree in there somewhere towards the end of the flow here, right? So I didn't build that. Those are different iterations that I would probably do if I was building this out even further and get even more creative or restrictive or logically safe or secure with the data and how it's used. So next thing, I want to show you how I got the button on the screen because some people find this very difficult, and I also had to study and research how to do this. I didn't find a lot of good answers on the internet when I built this a couple years ago. So the idea is you can see it right here. What I did was I clicked new action, flow. I chose the flow. This is my flow. You can make a button type for it. Okay. I can make a name for it, and I could change the icon and hit save. Okay, so I wanted to show you how to put the flow onto the contact layout. And so what I did was I was in the contact record page for Mr. Young, and I'll back out and I'll show you how I got there. So how did I get this button right here? I'm going to go into setup. I'm going to go into the Lightning app builder. I'm going to show you the contact record page. I'm going to click into this component here so I can change my options over here in the highlights panel. And I'm going to show you where I found it. So here it is. I could back out here and show you that it's right here in the actions selection, in the quick actions here. You could even add a filter for visibility if you wanted to make it disappear or wanted it to appear to only certain users. That's also an option. So I thought that was pretty cool. Really simple task. Once you've built it in the actual flow builder. So I thought that was pretty interesting and just wanted to show you. Once you hit save, you've activated it, and you've done all the normal steps, you'll see the action on the page here for Mr. Young or any other contacts that match this contact layout. So hopefully that makes sense. That's the screen flow. I tried to share it as fast as possible, but also walk you through it step by step. If you have questions, leave them below in the comments, like, subscribe, and let's keep going through your Salesforce journey together. I'm the Salesforce coach, Patrick, and I can't wait to see you in the next lesson and share as much of this Salesforce journey with you as possible. Thank you.